Deeptika Laurent joins me now for a look through the papers. Hi, Deepti.
Hi, Olivia.
Now, you found a lot of reactions in the Philippines after the return of a political dynasty. Ferdinand Marcos Jr., son of the late dictator, is poised to win the elections there.
That's right. And the word landslide is really the word that jumps out in a lot of the Filipino press today. Olivia, like here on the front page of the Manila Times. It's also on the front page of the Philippine Daily Inquiry, which calls it a landslide victory, a victory that appears eminent for Ferdinand Marcos Jr., former senator, of course, and his running mate, Sara Duterte, who is the mayor of Davao City and, of course, daughter of the outgoing president, Rodrigo Duterte. Now, Marcos Jr., also known as Bongbong, is the son of the late dictator Ferdinand Marcos, and Marcos Sr. reigned for 2 decades before he fled the country in the mid-80s following a military coup. Now, the younger Marcos has been largely dismissed by critics, but the paper's editors today warn that history has taught us that even prodigal sons can leave their own mark in history when they trade their forebearers' megalomania with sound pragmatism.
Well, let's hope so. Now, to another political dynasty in Sri Lanka this time. However, it does appear to be the end of the Rajapaksa chapter.
Or at least the beginning of the end, or the crumbling of that political dynasty there. After days of violence and chaos, Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa has resigned. His brother Gotabaya Rajapaksa is, of course, the country's president, and it comes after Rajapaksa's supporters attacked peaceful protesters across the country. Amidst Sri Lanka's catastrophic economic crisis right now, the editors of the Sri Lankan Daily Mirror say it's not clear if the government has realized that proving political stability in the country is crucial if they want the IMF to assist them monetarily. Now, as we said, Sri Lanka has been governed by this Rajapaksa political dynasty. There's an interesting article in the Times of India today which looks at all the different sort of players of the Rajapaksa family. You've got Mahinda, the now former prime minister, nicknamed the Chief. He's loved by the Sinhala Buddhist majority for crushing a rebellion by Tamil separatists in 2009. His brother, Gotabaya, the president, is known as the Terminator for his short temper and for disappearing dozens of opponents. Basil Rajapaksa is a former finance minister, nicknamed Mr. 10%, for the commission he gave himself from government contracts. So you can really see how nepotism and corruption have really pervaded themselves through the government, and is really, why Sri Lanka is in the state it is today.
The family seems to be very much embedded in the system there. Now, moving back to Europe now, the French paper Libération features an interview today with a former member of Russia's feared Wagner group.
That's right, Marat Gabidulin. He's a former operative of this Russian paramilitary group with ties to the Kremlin. The former operative openly spoke to Libération, the French paper. He calls the invasion of Ukraine a, quote, criminal error, and he says it was this invasion that really pushed him to leave the Wagner group. Libération speaks of Gabidulin's interview as crucial to deconstructing Vladimir Putin's speeches. The editors of Libération also note that interviewing him will not absolve him of his past acts and past crimes, but it will allow us to better understand what we currently see as Vladimir Putin's, quote, crazed bloodbath.
Certainly a scoop there from Libé. Now to the UK, a bit of a first. Queen Elizabeth II not at the state opening of Parliament today for the first time in nearly 60 years.
That's right. The British monarch is sitting the speech out because of mobility issues that have really plagued her for the past few months. It's, of course, dominating the papers, Olivia. Prince Charles instead is delivering the speech on her behalf, which is an unprecedented decision, and it also signals a shift in Charles's responsibilities as heir to the throne, rather. Prince William will also be attending for the first time. That's why you've got that sort of play on words headline from Metro, handing over the reins. Crown and out, that's how the Sun puts it on its front page. As you said, it's the first time in 60 years that she's missing this occasion. The state opening is a big occasion. It marks the beginning of the new parliamentary session, and it involves the Queen leading a royal procession to the chamber of the House of Lords. Her absence, of course, raising questions about whether she'll be present at her platinum jubilee next month.
Indeed. Well, finally from you, Deepsi, a story about a very, very dedicated fan of Metallica.
Well, this is a truly crazy story. Joyce Figueroa was 39 weeks pregnant when she and her husband decided to attend a Metallica concert recently. Her little baby, though, had other ideas. She actually went into labor at the Couto Pereira Stadium in Curitiba mid-concert. She gave birth to a baby boy just before midnight alongside her husband, paramedics, and her doctor, who happened to be at the concert too.
Lucky coincidence.
Lucky. That was a good turn of fortune. She posted this story of this unusual birth on Instagram, explaining that they had purchased the tickets in 2020, but because of the pandemic, the concert was postponed. The baby is no doubt a Metallica fan too. The little boy came out right in the middle of one of Metallica's most iconic songs, Enter Sandman.
Must be a good omen. Deeply, thank you very much for that roundup in the press. And don't forget, you can get our daily press reviews on our website, france24.com.